So today I will present the fifth research paper analysis. So the title of the paper that I analyze is When and Why Your Code Start to Smell Bad and Whether the Smells Go Away. So this paper has been accepted to 2017 IEEE Transactions on Software Engineering journal, and this journal defined the theoretical results and empirical studies that have potential impact on construction, analysis, and management of software. So the scope of this transaction range from the mechanism through the development of a principle to the application of this principle to a specific environment. So in terms of how to determine the venue quality, the TSE seems to be one of the reputable venue. It's listed as the main software engineering research journal, and since this paper is published this year, it has a zero citation count. So as far as the problem statement of the work, we all know that bad smell are symptoms of poor design and implementation choices that possibly affecting the maintainability of a software system. So, in the past and in recent years, several studies investigated the relevance that code smells have for developers, the extent to which code smells tend to remain in the software system for a long period of time, as well as the side effect of the code smells, such as decreased software understandability and maintainability. So, while the repercussion of code smells on software quality have been empirically proven, there is still noticeable lack of empirical evidence related to how, when, and why they occur in a software project, as well as whether, after how long, and how they are removed. So the basic idea of this paper is to fill the void in terms of author understanding of code smell, investigating when code smell are introduced and fixed by developers, and circumstances and reason behind the smell appearance. So the paper seeks to answer the following research questions: when smells are introduced in a software project, and why they are introduced, like under what circumstances small introductions occur, and who are the developer responsible for the introducing these smells, also how long they survive in the systems, and lastly how they are removed from the system. um, to address these research questions, authors reported the result of a large-scale empirical study conducted over the commit history of 200 open source projects belonging to three software ecosystems, namely Android, Apache, and Eclipse. So this study required the following: development of a strategy to identify the small introducing commits, mining of over 500,000 comments, and manual analysis and classification of over 10K of them to understand code smells are introduced and removed from the software systems. So the following is the result for the proposed approach. So for when smells are introduced, most of the code smells are introduced when the smelly code artifact is created in the first place, and not as the result of maintenance and evolution activities performed on such an artifact. So this result basically contradicts the common wisdom that the bad smell are generally introduced due to the several modifications made on the code artifact. So for why they are introduced, smells are generally introduced by developers or the owners of the file when enhancing existing features or implementing a new one. So any newcomers are not necessarily responsible for introducing the bad smells. So for how long they survive in the system, the study showed that 80% of the code smell once introduced are not removed by the developers during the system's evolutions. Overall, the authors observed a very high survivability of a code smells, with over 50% of a small instance still alive. after 1000 days and 1000 comments from their introductions. And lastly, for about how they are removed, the study shows that 9% of a code small instances are very rarely removed as a direct consequences of refactoring activities. So most of the code small instances are removed as a simple consequence of a deletion of a smelly artifact. Also, the addition of a new code can also contribute to removing the code small, which is a surprising result. So this research could be improved by highlighting the reason behind the developer's lack of motivations to perform refactoring activities to remove the code smalls. Also, design and develop a new generation of code quality checkers. In addition to that, replicate the work on other smalls with the project developed for other ecosystem instead of just depending on a three ecosystem that's used in the papers, and also include other programming languages. And lastly, doing a further investigation of other factors that could explain the introduction of the code smell other than the ones that are already analyzed in the paper. So that's all about the fifth research paper analysis, and thank you.